Thumbelina, the story of a tiny girl. Once upon a time, in a cozy little cottage nestled in the heart of a blooming meadow, lived a kind woman who longed for a child of her own. But years passed, and still she had no child. One day, she visited a magical flower witch who gave her a barley seed unlike any other. Witch, soft voice. Plant this in a flower pot, dear. You'll see something wonderful bloom. And so she did. From the seed grew a beautiful flower. When it opened, the woman gasped. Inside the petals sat a tiny girl, no bigger than a thumb. She had golden hair, sparkling eyes, and the sweetest smile. Woman, joyful, I shall name you Thumbelina. She made Thumbelina a tiny cradle from a walnut shell, rose petal blankets, and a tulip leaf bed. Thumbelina sang sweet songs and danced gracefully on the table. She was a joy. But one night, as Thumbelina slept in her walnut cradle, a big, ugly toad peeked through the window. Toad, grumbly. She'll make a fine bride for my son. He snatched her away and took her to the river. There, he placed her on a lily pad in the middle of the water. Thumbelina, scared. Oh no, someone help me! She cried and cried, but the fish in the river heard her and felt sorry for her. They nibbled the lily stem until it broke, and Thumbelina floated away with the current. A mayfly saw her and swooped down. Mayfly, excited. Come with me, little beauty. He lifted her into the air and showed her the world from above. But the other mayflies mocked her. Mayflies, rude. She has no wings. She's too ugly to be with us. Ashamed, the mayfly left her on a daisy. Thumbelina sighed, feeling alone. But she built a shelter out of grass and petals. She made friends with butterflies and bees and lived happily until autumn came. As the cold winds blew, flowers withered, and Thumbelina had nowhere warm to go. She wrapped herself in dry leaves, but the snow was harsh. Just as she was about to faint from the cold, a kind field mouse found her and took her in. Mouse, gentle. Oh, dear child, come inside. Stay with me this winter. Thumbelina helped the mouse clean, cook, and tell stories. But soon, the mouse had a visitor, a wealthy, blind mole. Mole, deep voice. She would make a fine wife. The mole fell in love with Thumbelina and decided to marry her. Thumbelina was heartbroken. She didn't want to marry the mole or live underground without sunlight and flowers. One day, while walking through the mole's dark tunnels, she found an injured swallow lying in the dirt. Thumbelina, gasping. Oh no, poor bird! She nursed the swallow back to health all winter, feeding him crumbs and covering him with soft moss. Swallow, weakly. Thank you, dear girl. You saved me. When spring came, the swallow was strong again. Swallow, grateful. Come with me. Let me take you somewhere magical. But Thumbelina felt she must stay and not disappoint the mouse. As the wedding day approached, Thumbelina cried every night. The mole's underground world was dark and lifeless. The thought of never seeing the sun again broke her heart. At the last moment, the swallow returned. Swallow, urgently, come now before it's too late. Thumbelina climbed onto his back, and they soared into the sky. Over fields, forests, and mountains they flew until they reached the land of eternal summer, where flowers bloom forever and the sun always shone. They landed in a meadow filled with flowers larger than Thumbelina. In one of the blossoms stood a tiny prince with wings, wearing a crown of petals. Prince, surprised. Who is this radiant girl? The swallow introduced them. Swallow, smiling. This is Thumbelina, brave, kind, and pure of heart. The prince was charmed. he asked her to stay and be his queen. Prince: "Will you marry me and live in this land of flowers?" Thumbelina, joyful: "Yes, this is where I belong." She was given wings like the prince, and together they ruled over the flower kingdom, ending happily ever after, 2000, 2300. Thumbelina finally found a home where she was loved and free. She danced on flower petals, sang with birds, and lived happily ever after with her prince. The swallow built his nest nearby and visited often, telling tales of the brave little girl who once saved his life. And so, dear children, the tiny girl who once had no place in the world found her paradise through kindness, courage, and heart. Remember, even if you feel small, your actions can be big. Even I,